Hey everybody, how you doing? Joe here from the Scruffy Fam. Hey, sorry it's been a couple weeks since we last posted a vlog. Life has just been really crazy with the twins, and we've just had a lot going on. But today what I wanted to do was do an update to a video that we did 3 years ago. One of our most popular videos that we've ever done is one where I shared about my PTSD and jiu-jitsu. And a lot of things have changed in the 3 years since I made that video. Now when I made that video, we had just moved to Wisconsin. We hadn't been here that long yet. I had just started training at a school in Madison that I really enjoyed, met some really great people, and being able to do jiu-jitsu shortly after we moved here gave me the ability to really deal with the transition of moving. When we lived in Arizona, we lived there for 5 years, had a really great community, support, friends, family. And when we moved to Wisconsin, we didn't have all of that. So it was a really rough transition for us. And to top it all off, Tasha was pregnant right around the time of us moving. So there's a lot of stuff happened at the time of that video, and I shared how jiu-jitsu had helped lower all of my symptoms. So what I want to do is 3 years later, a lot of things have changed, and I wanted to update about my PTSD and jiu-jitsu, especially in light of COVID-19. When COVID started last year, I don't know if a lot of people thought that it would be as long-standing as it is right now. It's been a year now, and we've had to make adjustments and changes to our lifestyle based on this virus and pandemic. And so part of that was where I trained jiu-jitsu, we had to close our school down. And we were closed for a couple of months. And then we were able to come back, we trained again, then we had to shut down again, and then we opened back up again. Now, the last time I did this video, I was training at a school in Madison. Well, like I said, something's changed. I was actually promoted to purple belt, and after that, I started a school in the town I live in Stoughton. And we've shared in some of our other videos that we run a nonprofit jiu-jitsu school. Well, we are now sitting in that nonprofit jiu-jitsu school. And so not only was I just feeling so much better about myself and my symptoms with PTSD, that I wanted to really share it forward. And part of that was we started a nonprofit school in Stoughton, and we allow veterans to train for free, and we give them free gear. That's what our nonprofit is. And so when I did that, I took a huge leap of faith that I would be able to manage my PTSD in light of myself and work towards running a martial arts school. I don't know how many of you watching are small business owners, but I do know that when COVID-19 hit, there was a balance of, hey, our school needs to keep running, can you continue to pay your membership? Or, hey, I understand this is a pandemic, you can't be here, no problem, please cancel your membership. And there is a real balance for us to that. Now, if everybody canceled their membership, there'd be no way for me to continue to pay the bills to keep the school open, and we would have had to close. So about 50% of the people canceled and 50% of the people continued to pay. And by doing that, we were able to stay open during that time. And I will tell you that going from 6 days a week of training jiu-jitsu, my symptoms were super low. I was sleeping better, I wasn't as jumpy, I wasn't as angry, I wasn't as paranoid, my nightmares weren't as intense. And then we had to close. And during the months that we were closed, I still tried to find ways to stay active. I brought some mats into my garage, I did some solo drills, I wrestled around with my kids at home, but it's not the same. And any of you that do jiu-jitsu, you understand that it's not the same as when you can go to a gym, have your training partners, and just really get after it. Well, didn't have that for several months. And even when we were able to reopen, we could only reopen with social distancing and quarantine buddies. So if it was a family member you were in quarantine with, a roommate, something like that, where it was people you were with every single day, then you could train with them. And so Elijah and I trained a lot. Now let's compound this, that during this shutdown, we found out Tasha was pregnant. And then we found out it was twins. So I, again, don't know how many of you have had a pregnancy during this COVID-19 pandemic. Tasha was pregnant before the pandemic started. We found out we were having twins during the pandemic. And I don't know how many of you have got to experience just a normal pregnancy. There are some stresses that come with that. But when it's a twin pregnancy, it changes things a lot. Tasha's morning sickness was worse. She wasn't sleeping well. She was just really uncomfortable a lot. And so that added a level of stress that I really didn't have an outlet to let go of. And then we found out that one of the twins, Judah, had an intestinal blockage just like our daughter Shiloh had. And so we knew again that we were going to be in the NICU for a period of time right after the twins were born. And then we knew there was a possibility that one twin was going to be home and one twin was going to be in the hospital. Now, during all of this, our school was partially open, but I didn't have that group of people that I could train with. I was teaching classes, I could demo stuff, but as far as actually get after and roll with someone, have that intense physical exercise, I didn't have. So I kept getting stress upon stress upon stress upon stress upon stress and no outlet. And things got bad. And when I say things got bad, I mean some of my symptoms got worse than they've been in almost 10 years. And that's saying something, because I had an opportunity to have some really great therapy and counseling with the VA, the Vet Center, and the Wounded Warrior Project. And because of that, I had some really great tools to help me deal with the stressors. Well, when you don't have an opportunity to empty your cup out, it's just going to overfill. And that's what happened with me. One of the ways I heard someone explain how you look at someone with PTSD is, imagine you've got a coffee cup, and that coffee cup is either 3/4 or already full. And stressors are like more coffee being poured in, and you can only take so much before it just starts spilling out over the side. Oh, I was spilling out everywhere. My nightmares got more intense. I stopped sleeping, so I had insomnia, which really sucked. Then I was way more jumpy. I was way more snappy at people. I was having a hard time concentrating when I was needing to do something. It was bad. Okay, and I'll just be real with you guys that if you don't know anybody with PTSD or combat-related PTSD, there is a point in time where, as a veteran, as someone who was a leader, as someone who runs a business, you don't want to admit your weaknesses, okay? And so I tried to power through a lot of stuff until it all came to a head. And enough so that Tasha was like, okay, that's enough of this. we need to get you into some more counseling, or you need to get back into training hard. I mean, we need to call people that are fine, that are COVID free. You are COVID free. You just need to roll with them. So I went back to counseling with the VA, and I did that with the understanding that our school was still open. We hadn't closed the second time yet, and I had talked to 2 or 3 people that would be willing to, get checked for COVID and roll with me as long as I was clean from COVID as well, and have a little pod of people that were training. And so we talked about that, and it sounded like something that was going to happen. And right when that started to gain traction and I was starting to get those training partners, we had to close the second time. That just about broke me. And in this time, the twins had been born. We spent 5 weeks in the NICU with Judah. We had the euphoria of the new babies, but then the stress of, with COVID, we both couldn't be in the NICU together. One of us had to be home with all the kids and one of the twins, and one of us could be at the hospital. Now, the NICU was awesome in the fact that they let Kira go up with Judah, so whoever was in the NICU could take Kira with them so the twins could be together. That was a really good thing. But during this process, one of the days we were at the hospital, Tasha wasn't feeling very good. She was looking kind of pale, and she started bleeding. And we left the NICU. She's like, I'm not feeling good. So we left. On our way home, she's like, we need to hurry up. And we got home, and she started to pass blood clots that were about yay big. Now again, if any of you have had kids, several days after you have a baby, if you have blood clots like that, that's bad. It's really bad. Well, it was bad enough that we went to the emergency room and found out that Tasha had a retained placenta and was hemorrhaging from that. So she went in, had a procedure, received a lot of blood because she had lost a lot of blood. And through that process, there was a point where I was concerned I might lose my wife. Followed by, she might have had to have an emergency hysterectomy. Followed by, she might be admitted to the hospital for several days while I had all the kids by myself. Now, one of the blessings during that time was my mother-in-law was here, but she was nearing the end of being with us. She was actually getting ready to go home, I think like the next day or the day after that. So my stress level just went. And I told the counselor that I was talking to at the VA, I'm like, no, I can't even deal with you right now. You want to do a treatment plan with me that right now I want to make it to the next day. So we made it through that second lockdown, and we started training again. And when I got to training again, I was pretty jumpy, a lot shorter tempered than I had been. And so we tried to adjust ways that we could do training. So one of the things that we did is we put up heavy bags, heavy punching bags, so you could punch and kick them. And we did that at first. And there were days where I would come and I would just wail on those bags, and I would get out every emotion that existed inside of me onto those bags and just go to town on them. And it was effective. I mean, my symptoms started to trail off a little bit. And then we got back into actually rolling and working on positions. And I think we're kind of at the point now, whereas we have some people in our school that have already received the vaccine. we're coming near the end of this. Tasha gets tested every week for COVID, so we were really at a point where we felt, okay, we can start with a small group of people that we have training. We can start cross-training with people enrolling and really starting to get going here. And so after the first of the year, that started to happen, and I started to get more rounds in with people, rolling with people, getting those nice competitive rolls, getting smashed when I needed to get smashed, and smashing people when I could. And then all of a sudden, my symptoms started to trail back down. I wasn't as jumpy, nightmares weren't as intense, insomnia wasn't there, and it really solidified for me that of all of the treatments that I've been through for PTSD, the one for me that's been the most effective is doing jiu-jitsu. Now I've done EMDR, I have done CBT, I have done exposure-based therapy, and the most effective that I have, for me, has been jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it's because of the physical aspect of it. I don't know if the effects that it has on your brain when you're doing a physical activity to the scope that jiu-jitsu is what it does for me. But for me, what it does is it levels me out, and it honestly allows me to process a lot of the emotions and crap that I have going on in my life in a safe, controlled, and efficient manner. And when I posted 3 years ago and I talked about my PTSD, I was all kinds of excited about all of the great and wonderful stuff that was going on with it. And I never could have foreseen what would happen with the COVID-19. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And what would happen when we removed jiu-jitsu from me. And what I can say is that all this time later, a lot of changes have happened in our life. I'm no longer the newer blue belt that was competing and just having a great old time training. Now I'm a coach. I do still compete, but I'm also teaching classes and I'm running a school. And I'm doing that because of how effective jiu-jitsu has been for my PTSD. And I encourage any vet, police officer, sexual trauma victim, car accident victim, dog attack victim, anybody that's got a trauma-related depression or anxiety or PTSD, give jiu-jitsu a try. It's going to start out slow. You're going to feel awkward the first couple times you do it. You may even freak out the first couple times you do it. I did. But then you're going to notice that in this physical struggle that we do, the coolest thing about jiu-jitsu is you have control over when it stops. A simple thing called tapping just stops everything. And I shared before that was one of the coolest things for me. I've got a thing with things around my neck and people trying to choke me, and now it doesn't tweak me out at all. I know that if I have to, I can tap and I'm done. And as I reflect on my journey with PTSD and the different treatments that I've had and the different opportunities I've had, I can tell you that the mental struggle that I've had is very similar to the physical struggle I do in jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of twists and turns and rolls and just crazy things you find yourself in. And because of that, it's helped me process that mental side of it much better. And for someone with PTSD, I can tell you that my brain is always going, always. And it's very hard to shut it down. And a lot of people with PTSD have something called adrenal fatigue, where you're just like, all the time. When I'm rolling, when I slap hands and bump knuckles with someone and I go, my brain calms. I don't have all the other stuff going on. I don't worry about anything else. It is the only time where my brain is silent. Now, I don't know of any other gift you can give to someone that has a trauma like PTSD than to give their brain a chance to be silent and not constantly on edge. And that is what jiu-jitsu truly does for me, that I didn't even have that comprehension 3 years ago when I made the other video. So a little bit longer today, guys. I really wanted to share with you and go a little bit more in depth about how deeply jiu-jitsu impacts my PTSD and how it could impact anybody else with the same types of traumas. Now, not everybody may find that same healing that I do in jiu-jitsu, but I know quite a few veterans and first responders that do. And if you know any of them that are on the fence, or they just don't want to leave their house, or they just don't want to leave their house, drag them kicking and screaming to a jiu-jitsu school. I'd recommend one that has veterans already there. You can find that by going to websites like the We Defy Foundation, Mission 22, Veterans Jiu-Jitsu. All of them are going to have lists of schools that are veteran and first responder friendly, or where they can go to get discounted or free training. And I'm extremely passionate about reaching out to our veteran community and giving them that opportunity to at least try it, at least try and see if this is the thing that helps you get over that mental hurdle so that you can get back to living a life that isn't constantly on edge. So thank you guys. I'm sorry again, this is a little bit longer video. This is a little bit of departure from our homestead stuff, but we've gotten a butt ton of snow. a lot. And it's put us back on being able to do some things. We have 4-month-old twins, and our 4-year-old is autistic, so we're dealing with all of that right now, and it just has pushed some of our vlogs to the back burner. That they will be coming back out here very shortly. But thank you guys so much for all of you that are following along on our journey. Go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button if you like what you're seeing. Please feel free to share this video with anybody that you may think will benefit from hearing this. And then, you can follow us on social media at thescruffyfam or at thescruffymama on Instagram. You can email us at thescruffyfam@gmail.com. And like I said, go ahead, like and subscribe. You get new videos. We'll get back to every week here soon. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you.